You see, the sports minister no watam on it GBC ako sign a contract be my contract no mo sign GBC ajiskano and omutie skano and obi afskano di. This is just $3.6 million, boss. Ebi ba $40 million. And this money is now making $1.7 no. NPP sports minister Jubilee House omusika. So what you are seeing today is just a joke. If there's a change in government, there should be a thorough investigations into all African games. 40 jail. 40 individuals. The sports minister can never escape jail. Never. From what I know, never. Now, let's do the do. Only 3 million and you people are screaming, hey, and TV that way there, 3.6 million. We are talking about 40 million, 62 million, 74 million. We are talking about Sika amount for Tam. More cut 3.6 into the whole Ghana Gina, Adaya 3.6 million aira. These people said they spent $230 million. You are chasing 3.6 million. Ghana for they are just lying to you people. Now, so many things. See. And the most interesting thing is, so what's your story? It is so simple. Yeah. Now, you see GBC and the sports ministry sign contract. Now, almost sign a contract. Now, before I even go in, you can say, a year right to an event. My meaning is simple. It's easy because I have a lot of things to talk about today. You can say, and you organize the African Cup of Nations. There are agencies around the world that you can tell them, say, all African Cup of Nations are person hosting or Ghana. No, Ghana government, you perceive the shamonsa, most speciality they say, more town event. No, you be showed with TV show, you be advertisement to. We are saying who say a show now and I say event now mujuma dieno no. So they have the package. So normally you sell the event, the majority of the time the rights, the television rights to them, the advertising rights to them. It is their job. So omuji usika say to 5 million, 10 million. Sa 10 million no. I was say at the end of the day, unya sa sikane back from the job they would do. And if the work done. Enti so omo sasika na omo de omagiska no but also sasika no etumi de mfaso brew and mfaso na de also making sure say African games now or organize amount no one ubenya advice sponsors ubenya big time sponsors ubetumenya ubetumenya engine oil ubetumenya Shell ubetumenya Orange ubetumenya MTN ubetumenya Coca-Cola ubetumenya big ubetumenya Apple ubetumenya Samsung. It is their job. It is not your job. Ude what chanika say sika media ma no make sure say ewiase obia ehudwuma dia ye beye no e mama say nya ho mfaso. So send ye ebeba TV so na sankofo no de sika ne mo a majority of the time no ka kire mo say e was say unya sika e de ma me back because me tua woka. You have to work and that whatever I have invested in your work, it needs to bring me money. Enti baby if be TV right. Into the TV right man on kwan what right or bit my catch you say show this African Cup of Nation TV so say TV be Algeria no kasa opese onu so show sa company na Ghana for no sign contract no omo beje 2 million omo Jesus can emba omo ho Ghana for into onya TV stations 200 every we are nyina no mu nyina kase omo pese omo show omo nyina tua sika eba straight na ba ho into even though we tua omo 10 million so wonya 200 million enye omo problem because wo de adwuma omo ye no e ho mfa so na wudi no into so omo so de ma Algeria TV bi se onyi na Algeria TV so be ka kire omo so oh TV so bi wo Uzbekistan omo so pese omo yi Algeria for TV no at the end of the day e charge omo na sankofo na sa charge Algeria for no na Algeria for no tua nkofo na de amount. Until you need to at the end of the day sika wudi be shemu no e wo say we den unya ehun faso and intina over African games African Cup of Nations Cote d'Ivoire na ye de ma agency intina who billboard who advertisers any sponsors. It is not the work of Cote d'Ivoire, it is the work of that agency to make sure say obi a Uzbekistan etuma hwe game ni bi. It is all about that agency na ombeji sa contract no. Inti before All African Games started, this is what happened. Ghana government through the Ministry of Sports contacted a company called 5 Sports. So 5 Sports yate somebody eba event say dia oboa TV right sponsors so advertise den ni nyina package ni nyina mo ye percent ke mamo ebe handle All African Games send ebe ya Ghana ni wiase nyina betuma hwe All African Games no na 5 Sports for no say oh omo be charge $6 million kakra bi ye mo $6 million omo the equipment beba omo be filming omo be advertisement omo be bibia omo sa the sponsors beba ni nyina the money will come to us omo $6 million omo gi 2 year no ano no omo catch sports ministry and a sports minister go catch bedi tu okọ catch bedi to bedi you see the event na we organize no enkofo na omutumi adwuma ni ye pa no omo so meje $6 million. Inti yantam $6 million mo wana bidi so da be mamuntam fa ojimi GBC wo ho ye be use GBC Ghana fo ejimi All African Games no it is enya de bi kura obi anhwe bi e be ha mo inti ye ne GBC fo nko sign contract na mo ne GBC fo sign contractor ye be ma GBC companies bi say omo ndi say adwuma na 5 Sports fo say omo gi sa sika na endi omo gi sa adwuma die na yenim de e be ye now GBC boss no for some reason, he knew, say, he did not have the sophisticated equipment to carry the event. In the first place, say, sports ministry no approaching no. The first thing he was supposed to say, didn't say, if you want me to be the official broadcaster of this event, you need to understand I need to have the equipment that can do the job. I need to be able to have, because without those equipment, without those the resource, I cannot be the primary broadcaster of the event. But because the GBC boss too, there were some conversations behind the scenes to say, oh dear, my contract in Nkoso, all that you have to do is say front. We have people who do the job. And the GBC boss also can say, okay, move a contract in Amra, move the contract in the bar, use me as a smoke screen. Media mi jina ha monfa sika ni mfa me mu na enko bebi ekọ ba sika ni fa me mu a e wo sika ni bi fa bebi brem e ka me ho. This is what happened. Ma me dwedwe mu nkire o enti omo ni GBC sign a contract see omo ignore 5 Sports for no and na omo ni GBC for sign a contract say GBC for nko a and omo the right to carry the All African Games. Remember before omo ni GBC sign a contract no more 2 international companies are use. But they cannot use only the 2. They need to mix it with some domestic and local media companies. Looking like say this is they are being neutral. There's a combination of Ghanaian companies and foreign companies. Into sikana companies na the Ghanaian companies ni 1,000. But it drew 2 major foreign companies, you could see that the money jumped into millions. It is also the contract now. How many GBC signed here now? The Sports Ministry and Ghana Football Association. Remember, the Sports Ministry, the Sports Minister, he knew what he was doing. The GBC boss thought he knew what he was doing, but he did not know what politicians could do. The GBC boss was a politician. A little greed messed him up. He thought to say, the oya human de on pepanensa hokwa e bia kakra bi beso nanum enye sika bi ehu bia. But you see, the sports minister who is taking or was taking instructions from Bedietu, they had a plan already. So already contract now. There are some details that should point to you say they knew GBC was basically going to be a cash cow. GBC a constant is what no a den to say a ATM machine and numuna sika ne be fe pie. Inti omo build GBC or contract we to say money machine and I say a den ATM. Sika ni nyina be fa GBC mu pie, but GBC benya sika ne kakra bi edi. Majority of sika na e be ko ni nyina e be ko back to Bedietu and sports minister no ho. enti contract no time no day enti medwudwa kakra bi mu akyerɛw sɛ wo hwɛ contract na ma membiem come we read some part of the contract. This is what you see. Why is this coming first, Mr. S? This is not supposed to be the first one. All right, anyways, let me just read this one if that's what we put there as first one. Now, this is what the contract says. So we read here. I want to pick the right first one. Send it to be easy for everyone. Mr. S. So we read the contract now. It says, we read the as you say, the agreement witnesses as follows. Say GBC shall provide all services, personnel, and equipment needed for the below TA broadcast management, live recording and broadcast of events, international broadcast center. In terms of contract, normally GBC sign on. The only shame when say GBC they be providing all the services. Providing. The issue is, the question is, does GBC have the equipment to do that job? Do they have the equipment to broadcast a event? Do they have the cameras? Do they have all the necessary equipment of international standards to broadcast this all African games? A solid. Do they have? So the question is, did the sports minister ask the GBC boss, and did the GBC boss also tell them their weaknesses? That answer was missing. Okay. Now, broadcast management, live recording and broadcast of event, international broadcast center, meaning GBC na the primary, the official broadcaster. Say Ebeko International, it is only GTV that can give that feed to anybody. Inti obi show event will have to go through GBC, meaning GBC will have to make money back. So GBC at town content at a third party, that money, because it needs to come back as returns, it needs to come back as profit. It is a GBC the main primary source. Every single live feed GBC pushes out there, domestic, local, Africa, Europe, Asia, GBC needs to make money back. That is how it works. The question is, after GBC pushed these things through the so-called media houses now, or more partner GBC, did GBC make a cent back? You can't tell me that GBC paid 3.6 million and made $0 back. No. Because star, 5-star for no, catch the Ghana for say, some is 6 million. You can break even or make profit. That means you can get your 3.6 million back, or you can even make 10 million back, because it depends how we promote it and how many people we get to stream and also to sponsor. When you look at it from every angle, you could see clearly say the monies they were putting through GBC, they didn't have any intentions of making any money back. GBC was just going to be a smoke screen for them to be able to pay the money, because the ministry did not want to pick money and pay those people directly. Because when the ministry does that, what is going to happen is they will start asking. They did go through procurement, because say Ghana are buying, and in this case the ministry is the government. When it does business with a foreign private company, it has to go to procurement. It is a ministry that 3.6 million at the mother foreign company. Now the question will come, say, where they did go through procurement, because they wanted to avoid that. They needed a state agency. They can basically say, we are GBC. We have been doing this for long, and maybe the laws does not really apply, so we did it. So that's why they went through GBC. Into technically, say, sports minister Nachina or Bekachiro say, I did not directly pay anybody, any foreign company. It was GBC. When you look at the law, does GBC, do they have the right to pay money to a foreign company? Because GBC is a state institution. We will come to those things. Those are the technicalities. We will come there. It is strategy in the say, because be dear to them, because sports minister no onim. Say on one companies me no banner or this kind of more. Later Bebusan say, okay, Did they go through procurement? On pesa question because we say on to me answer. Let's use another state agency. Na ye use you almost send beya et say and the abeya ye busa ne say na adena uchi sika or say mentua company bia metua ma GBC. You need to be deep to understand when you feno typical create, loot and share. And I make sure no. So what is the MPP for create, loot and share? Create, loot and share no and I make sure no. You understand create, loot and share. We're 3.6 million per. I'll show you something. Now, it is already some part of the contract, Mr. S. All right, Mr. S. I'm following. Did you? Let's go to the next page in the contract. Yeah, pointed some things out to you and Sanamakumi Nimachawa DB. Mr. X, I have them here, but I just wanted to know how you basically arranged them for me because if you can point it back where you numbered it, it's okay. I've seen it. In this order, all right. Now, you're reading a contract, another page. Let me show you there. Now, settlement of disputes. So we read this part of the contractor. This is what it says. Assignment. The Ministry of Youth and Sport shall not assign any benefit or interest hereunder to any third party without the written consent of GBC, and such consent is given shall not relieve the Ministry of Youth and Sports from any obligation under the agreement. And what the Ministry of Sports did was that they basically told GBC say there should be the smoke screen. Every single thing they will take a decision, they will just be funding. And the payment will be coming from them. They will have to make sure say adebia ekosubiano omudi omunimaji. In the application, in the assignment, they basically told GBC say munye jumano, so munye security companies on member board now. We are there to pay you. Now, who is supposed to take the fall? The person who is supposed to take the fall is the one who is leading the whole deal. And in this case, GBC, they are the ones who are basically interacting with the third party. The sports ministry did not interact with the third party. The sports ministry said, GBC, we are giving you the sole right to deal with the third party. Into whatever you discuss with the third party, we don't know. Because they are trying to build a wall. Send a backfire. The sports minister, the sports ministry can say, we did not do anything. In fact, when he asked the sports minister today, say, did you speak to any of the third party that worked with GBC? They will say no. They were all contracted by GBC. My job was to pay the GBC guys. So the Ministry of Sports, what they did was that they moved their crime GBC to commit. Now, you know the funny thing? The companies now, GBC, let's ask GBC. Do they have any written document with the third parties that they dealt with? Because say 5 companies or 6 companies now, GBC and Yuma say almost so M1 broadcasting and making sure say event is successful. No? Did GBC have an official, or did the GBC boss meet them one-on-one to sit and sign a document with them? We need to know. Because a GBC meeting or more, then there should be a contract stating clearly the terms and conditions of what GBC wants them to do. Because GBC Jiska and GBC Hiasika and Faswo, and say we are third party na GBC ni would deal. I also need GBC a contract to understand what is happening. Because a contract between Ministry of Sports and GBC is definitely going to be different from a contract between GBC and a third party. We need to understand that. Ministry of Sports, any GBC contract, it cannot be applied to a third party contract. Into third parties now GBC, SA or GCK or Ministry of Sports, the Ministry of Sports on Casa, it is a contract between GBC and the third party. And my question to the GBC boss is, did they have a meeting, a contract between Omo and the third party? And because the money the sports ministry was given to GBC is the taxpayers' money, and we need to know work done. What work was done with the money and what was the returns from the money? What they did is what we call create, loot, and share. Now, make sure create, loot, and share. Na see. Take your time. Osha contract ni mua, you see things like this. Sorry. Now, already some part of the contract, this is what it says. Obligations of the parties, fees. TDO contract, and this contract is between Ministry of Youth and Sports and GBC, right? Okay, Mr. S, right, thank you. Now, already obligations of the parties, fees, your material contract. It is agreed that GBC would provide services in the amount of $3.6 million. Nice. 1. That the Ministry of Youth and Sports is solely responsible for the payment of the services provided. GBC, any Ministry of Sport assign contract. Say Ministry of Sports able to GBC 3.6 million. Now, or say GBC they would provide services in the amount of 3.6 million. The Ministry of Sports is solely responsible. In terms of Ministry of Sports there. The juma nyina between on GBC ni say obetam Canada ma GBC say fire juma no. So it means, say, after we deliver Sikanama GBC, no, he has nothing to do with the money. The question here is, did the sports ministry follow up if GBC has actually utilized the money, and that money, at the end of the day, so the sports ministry wants to tell us their responsibility was that, say, GBC, so we have 4 million, and not GBC. The money is taxpayers' money. The sports ministry does not follow up. In Tebia GBC boss, no, oh, yes, he come and empena. No, I can say, oh, Mumbrame 4 million. Yeah, they call a third party. You just carry the money and give it to GBC without following up what GBC is using the money for. Because if you are the sports minister, now with the GBC, now you say a taxpayers' money, where the money is coming from and ending, you need to know. But one, he did not care. Why didn't he care? Because he knows that the company say a third party now one can say create Ediama GBC say on your munye jumano. The companies belong to them. And they don't want to take part. They don't want to do anything. They are saying GBC kia third party, ye name third party no. Now when you go to point 2, that the Ministry of Youth and Sport will transfer the city equivalent of the cash component to the GBC for payment. In terms of the they just do transfer. 3.6 no is your office. GBC busa no magaso muhiya send 4 million monje. The sports ministry will not even ask GBC. The third party na where are they from? Can you send a little bit of information about them? GBC ngwe. So the sports ministry or the sports minister did not question GBC. Say GBC says Sikano, say GBC to go sports ministry or time taxpayers money no atoma GBC. Or sune juma nkwano no. Now go to the third. That where there arise any difference as a result of foreign exchange conversion in the transfer of the funds from Ministry of Youth and Sports to GBC, Ministry of Youth and Sport will be notified to make up the difference. Tio, or this almost send this sikano. That's a short to be maybe $1 exchange, you know, and so on. GBC be notify Ministry of Youth and Sports to say, oh, nango must send a year $20 million CD equivalent. By a buy, you know, you calculate, $20 million CD no answer and so. Into move or say any the GBC bit my from my catch trouble. Baby, a GBC this kind of code the almost shut down care. Because on a new modumano no, omni GBC assign contracts on metam sika ediama GBC. Until they are not asking about the companies GBC is dealing with, their track record. Maybe they might find something GBC does not even know, but they say they don't do that. Their job is to carry the money and give to GBC. Now, another job also me and say sikana and so GBC in country on pumping more. They don't even want to follow up. They don't even want to check the people taking our money. What if GBC, their internal structures are not solid? Now GBC tamsika ediama a fraud boy bia. So you, the sports ministry, you don't do an oversight because you have an oversight responsibility. Even though you don't have a contract with a third party, you as the sports ministry, you have the oversight responsibility. Until you have the right to question GBC and say, who are the third parties you are working with? Unless the sports minister is a fool, unless the sports minister created the companies and gave to GBC, pay them. But we will see whether they suggested companies to GBC, because from the contract, they tell us to say their job is solely to give them money to pay the third party. Now, Mr. S, which one am I going to? Now, when you go to point 4, that the Ministry of Youth and Sport would provide funding for any incidental costs incurred in the course of the broadcast of the games. I must say, Ministry of Sports, a contract normally GBC signing, during the production, now broadcast, problem be a and it's them there. They are just sitting there for GBC to ask for money and they will give it to them. The sports minister said, on the office. On the go for go office. GBC bo wakeke omobe pompia bromo. What will make a sports minister who has oversight responsibility to just sit back and say, oh dear, you're streaming, no problem is now here catch them. How can you be given a role as a minister? Now, let's go to the next thing in the contract. All right, Mr. S. I got it. Now, when you read this, this part of the contract, this is what you see. Production of games from all venues as in the attached Appendix A. Montages, bumpers, video promos, and other relevant creative for the event, signal distribution. It's basically GBC Jumani Ninano. The package was for GBC to promote the event. Bring sponsors, do banners, montages, video, pieces of video around the world. They were supposed to advertise the show. So they had to find a way to advertise. If they are even bringing a third party, the third party needs to do that job to bring money back. We cannot pump 3.6 million and then expect nothing as a nation. No. Oko ewiase bibia omomuye event. And intina Oba Ghana na Shatawale ebeye eventer. Your event organizers. Event organizer ne bar or Shatta. I want to promote your show for you. Now this your show I know is going to be big because you are always big and you know what you are doing. Now as an event organizer, I am going to sell your show. I'm going to sell your shirt. I'm going to bring on sponsors. I'm going to make sure you get a good venue. I'm going to make sure 10,000 people, 20,000 people, 30,000 people come to the event. I'm charging you 500,000 Ghana. If you give me that money, I will make sure you make 2 million Ghana at the end of the day. That is what event organizations do. So basically, GBC was doing that job for the Ministry of Sports. It wasn't just telecasting the show. When you read a contract, it shows GBC was doing more than just showing the show or covering the show. They had to do more. Enti, I had to say, GBC did just half a percentage of the Omo Kanina. Because GBC did not do any montages. GCV did not bring any sponsor. GBC did not bring any. GBC did not bring a cent. GBC only threw the money out the window. And where did that money go? Oba or say the following services and technical features are also included in the contract. The live recording and broadcast of the opening and closing ceremonies. GBC, they have to take the cost and make it happen. A 7 to 10 hour of a daily super feed for live broadcast and playback. GBC have to make sure this works. Satellite space management. Satellite space segment and turnaround. GBC. Editorial management crew. GBC. A 1 hour daily African Games roundup program, GBC. Provide and manage the team of commentators for the live broadcast, GBC. Now, to ensure a world-class broadcast of the AG All African Games 2023, GBC shall ensure that its team of reporters and journalists are trained around the broadcast of the games. This shall be a legacy of the African Games 2023. So GBC had a lot. The question is, did GBC boss tell them he doesn't have the capacity to do that? No. Say Juma no. For companies say Juma no. So basically, GBC was a cash cow. GBC was an ATM machine. It just vomits the money. Into when we can go GBC mo na GBC, press it. Into create companies, create loot and share no. Ministry of Sports do Jubilee House create companies. And I'm catching GBC says sign contract way. We are sa companies now on your munye juma. Into GBC no or your ATM machine. A yes sports ministry ba no be load this boom. O load guma and one say companies ba no press pa no way you know mo call. Into that is the create, loot and share. Into sports minister no or first can another big ATM which is GBC. Now companies now creating bar. Now companies now abe hit numbers no the serial code. Now a fiscal number no the call. Into busa sports minister say sikano de ye there also be go ATM nim. Into kobusa ATM no why and a physical more. So GBC is an ATM. A physical edema a Jubilee House for indirectly or Jubilee House representing companies. Inti Obadan I'll say this is the job, and they knew, and the GBC boss knew the GBC of Ghana does not have the capacity, so they will have to do what? They will have to bring some companies on board. GBC, they need to tell us what due diligence did they do to bring those foreign companies, those two companies that took the big money. The Ghanaian companies, I don't care because I know most of them were not paid, but those two companies, you know. What due diligence did they do? How many companies did they reach out to? This should tell you that the sports minister, Jubilee House, they created that company for GBC to work with. And a sports minister said, you have stolen our money. Or say, I have not stolen any money. We gave GBC, we signed a contract with them because they know what they were doing. They know. So I'm normally the man for the director, into the GBC. No, they are so the same company that belongs to them. And until that they are quick to come on TV and say, we don't know anything about it. The sports minister has not stolen any money because it is create, loot, and share. They created the idea. They looted through the idea and they shared the money at the Jubilee House. If you're a journalist, you need to go deeper. You need to analyze. You need to listen to the people. Read the document. It will show you. It will lead you to where the money is. We are going to where the money is. We will get there soon. Maybe I'm a cast. Now, Mrs. Should we move from here because I want to move forward? Have we read everything? Okay, now GBC4 ebe release document to be say omo contract no almost signing no third party companies no any. Now when you read GBC document now you will see say omo nya sikali kese pa no the foreign companies. Into read here omo say oh GBC for release statement. No more release statement, you know. How many PGS, quality media production, the project. Now there are two companies. You tiabaku euros and you tiabaku dollars. Now, omono diano na eson. Almost those companies are ever seen there. Yen sheda who be biomu free buy. And only PGS and quality media production. Baku 2,056,000. And about $1 million. Omumi enunku $3 million. Eka 1 million be less than 1 million be. And omuchichama Ghana companies 30,000, 50,000, 100,000. GBC nankasa na ejuma no yane dia no onya 105,000. Enuntina ubusa sports minister for say and our sports ministry. Ombetna asempano. The argument was that GBC got paid. But the question here is, if GBC got paid $105,000, the rest of the money, that is about $2.9 million, you know, what work was used to do? Because at the end of the day, you gave GBC some work to do, right? You contracted GBC to do some job. So you need to ask GBC, GBC were sitting there and you gave them a job technically. So if you have given the taxpayers' money to GBC to use in doing some job, the question is, did you ask GBC how much they made out of the money you gave them? Because you cannot just give GBC 3.6 million and say, I'm not going to question GBC about how they use the money. Ain't the reason why they be quick to say GBC now 105,000. They don't want to go to a Jumano Sikana Kai and a Juma Bene, yeah. Because if the sports ministry really cares about the money and is there, say Ghana for benya interest from their money, and Kobe question GBC say, Sikana medema wono, show me work done and show me profits. But they are not asking about that. They are saying GBC boss is a criminal. He should come and apologize to them. So GBC boss about krono. Una utam Ghana sikama GBC boss no wa bokrono. Yentia. And I'm catch say ato forcing. The boss are instructing to say on signing document. Even though the boss they instructed no, ato forcing a commit crime. Jakwana oya middleman na. Or no one sign a check, no. Yes, or your middleman in Quadie. Big C for smart, no, or you're criminal. That is what your attorney general is saying. So if the sports ministry handed over the taxpayers' money to GBC, I don't care about the contract. I want to ask the taxpayer, did they follow up to ask GBC a Jumano Amoye and Fasobeni Nyaye? To date, the 3.6 million you move as in your 1 city, in your 2 city, in your 1 city, in your 2 city, or 3.6 million so every seen there. Obiam Musa asked a question. Why are we not interested? CBI uses Sikana. We need to be interested. And the sports minister needs to tell us. Because GBC on document the 105. And the sports minister Nimbusa GBC say, Sa Sikana utia no companies in the Jumom the year and for so wing. So let me tell you what it create, loot, and share. No, this is create, loot, and share. They created the idea, they looted through the idea, and they've shared the money. I can tell you on authority, the sports ministry, their cooking number receipts be recently, they will leak some receipts into the system. Said that is the transactional ekoma GBC. Modia munchen endi a day or two. The sports minister, they will leak, they will use some sports journalists in Ghana. They will leak some receipts and tell you, say, oh, this is the receipt showing, say, sports ministry, they paid GBC money. I don't care about that. I want to know, GBC one, the third parties, did the GBC CEO or director meet the third parties in any meeting? Did GBC sign any contract with any of these third parties? 2 questions. And 3, the monies that the sports ministry gave to GBC, work done, show us work done. Did we lose money? Did we make $1? Did we make $2? We want to know. Or you want to tell us that 3.6 million went and never came back. Create, loot, and share. And I make sure you have to follow it closely before you know what they are doing. The sports minister is a criminal. Now, I'm sure I did. Do you know, say, do you know, say, the opening ceremony? I'm in for a picture and so. Now, move some questions. No. Do you know that the opening ceremony of the All African Games? Do you know that the opening ceremony of the All African Games, it cost Ghana $4.5 million? Ask the sports minister. The opening ceremonies, it cost Ghana $4.5 million. Do you know? No. They are making you talk about 3.6 million. 3.6 million. 70 million. Do you know, sir, just the opening ceremony of the All African Games? Remember, the All African Games was not broadcast on any international media in the world. No media in the world broadcast it. Even DSTV, whatever they showed was recorded. DSTV did not pick All African Games live. Never. So the All African Games now, no international media, no country watched it live in any country. The All African Games you watched, it was only in Ghana. Togo, Kraumun Timan Peki. tie. Me say the All African Games, Togo, Benin, Ivory Coast. Nobody even got access to the All African Games. It wasn't broadcast in any country. It was all local. To me, the third parties that GBC so use what work did they do? Did they sell the right to any company? Did any company or any country, any broadcasting company or any media house around the world get a feed, bought a feed from GBC through its third party partners? It's a simple question. I can tell you on authority. The All African Games was all local. It didn't go anywhere. The opening ceremony, we spent $4.5 million. Do you know that the All African Games, there was no sponsor? The All African Games now you're organizing in Ghana, no, there was no sponsor. There was only one company that gave Ghana insure 1 million worth of water. Belakwa. No company. And if the sports minister says I am lying, the local organizing committee, they should come out. There was no sponsor. The whole All African Games, there was no sponsor.
The NPP cannot be underestimated. You know it, I know it. They've been in existence for a long time and have been changing their names up till this day. The nature of who they are. Listen.
Do you know that the All African Games Ghana, there was no sponsor? Belakwa pe enemomunsu worth 1 million Ghana water. MTN, Vodafone, DN, no sponsor. Now, do you know, and they have said this, majority of you are quiet about it. And it's about say All African Games. So let me take this off. Say All African Games, we spent $15 million 15 days for feeding. Some are saying what is our story, no? 15 days spare on your All African Games, You're spending $15 million, meaning every day. At least 18 days, every day you're spending something close to $900,000. So, calculating for 18 days, we spent a day, at least by All African Games, every 24 hours, we spent almost close to $900,000. $900,000. Now, one of the interesting thing about this thing I'm telling you, it means to say $900,000 a day. Ghana's Ghana is saying 90 billion. Like in a day, 90 billion. All right, I'm sure there. One side we, I want to tell you today. Company na a provide a year aduane almost say for 18 days almost spend $15 million That company is called the $50 million The company now provide aduane na $50 million. The company is called L&M Catering. It belongs to kind of Asante Bedieto's wife. I didn't just mention the name. I told you nipa yene dia. Company provide food services for the All African Games. omuji $15 million for 18 days. No, it belongs to Bedi Etuo's wife. The name of the company is L&M Services. Omuna omu provide eduane for 18 days. Omuji Ghana $15 million. Go and check. Makacham say, what you are seeing is just a tiny bit. You want conformity $80 million, $70 million. They are working with you in Ghana. I'm going to TV so. Company na eji $15 million 18 days so provide eduanema athletes no. That company is called L&M Services. It belongs to Asante Bedi Etuo's wife as the sports minister. Hey, if you people make a mistake, the reason why Akufo-Addo person be free power no. Say nkoko okoso ohye no ho akonfo kra nkeye. Akufo-Addo or commit suicide cry, it is better for him. Because the damage they have done to you, let me tell you for a fact. You people have no money as a nation. You are running on, you see, say Ghana a car, there are no wheels. Mumbusa omo say company ben the provide eduane no. Your friend company no L&M Services. Eye Asante Bedi Etuo yere dia. Ni yere Nigeria ni na waje airport stores ni nyina no. Ono na gi $50 million no. Straight up easy. You sit there and you say obi tan obi. This is dangerous. So 3.6 now mokan wasem bebre eye dede yes sports minister dia no me ba be kire mo very soon 80 million 70 million. The GBC one they omo de dada mo. They created, looted and shared it. Into GBC no, I can tell you for a fact the GBC boss made a mistake. They used him. He cannot speak because he knew they were using him. He was selfish. They used the GBC boss to make that money. It is free money for them. They got it free. It would take GBC boss in the interview now. I say, if I had that money, why wouldn't we go buy OB? Let me tell you, the whole All African Games, it ran on data. It did not run on any OB system or anything. Oman Kanchemo said they spent $3 million on data. And that's how all the streams they did locally. So when we say All African Games or DSTV, it was pre-recorded. It was recorded after the show. Normally come out. The All African Games ran on data. Into almost say streaming basatan time. They spent $3.3 million. Us like the best 70% of that money. Today we don't need OB system. We don't need big vans to come. And no, today you just need a setup. You can stream the biggest event in this world. The All African Games was run on data, just basically internet. So I want you to ask the sports minister. Company Benergy 15 million, 18 days for feeding athletes. Or $15 million. Omusano, your friend company L&M Services. A Asante Bedi Etuo yere company. All right. Now, after this short break,